Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard told Tucker Carlson last night that she has sent cease and desist letters to commentator Keith Olbermann and Senator Mitt Romney demanding that they retract their statement accusing Gabbard of treason. Let's watch.
We've sent out these cease and desist letters to both Senator Romney as well as Keith Olbermann. And frankly, Tucker, it's in the hopes that they will recognize, it's giving them the opportunity to tell the American people, you know what? On second thought, we understand how serious this crime of treason is. We'll apologize and we'll make sure that this doesn't happen again, because if we love our country, we care about our democracy, we care about free speech, the last thing that anyone with a platform should want to do is to create this chilling effect where people are afraid to express their views, whether they are mainstream or not, whether they are in line with those in power in Washington or not. This is America, and we all need to stand up and protect this speech, because today it's me, tomorrow it could be you.
Well, back in March, Romney accused Gabbard of, quote, parroting Russia propaganda and spreading treasonous lies after she called for the shutdown of U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. Around the same time, Keith Olbermann called Gabbard and Tucker Carlson Russian assets and said they should be arrested and tried in a military tribunal for their crimes. So, first of all, look, Keith Olbermann is not a serious person, so I don't know why she would even take the time to send him a cease and desist or even mention his name on Tucker Carlson's show. He's on Twitter. He's a total troll. The guy comes after me all the time. So should have just ignored him. Secondly, I mean, though I understand and I'm very sympathetic to being called a Putin puppet or a Russian asset. I know you've been called that, Bri. I've been called that. I'm not comfortable with what Gabbard is doing. I think look, free speech is free speech in the country. If you want to call somebody names, I suppose you're allowed to do that. So I don't like, and now I haven't seen specifically what she's talking about. I haven't read the cease and desist letter, so I don't know what her attorneys are arguing, right? But from the surface of it, if somebody calls me a Russian asset, a Putin puppet, a traitor to the country, let them. That is free speech in America, whether I like it or not. I don't really want to chill speech in any way, especially criticism. So I'm not in line with her on this. That's
I mean, look, whatever you think about what she should be doing, there's free speech, but we also have libel and slander laws, and she's allowed to make her case that that's what's happened here. You know, a defense against libel and slander is the truth. And I think the argument here is that she was bringing up the existence of these biolabs, not making an argument that America is helping in the creation of bioweapons, which is the kind of conspiracy theory that she's being accused of participating in. So she, I think, is trying to tease out that distinction and make it clear that she is not doing that, which is what Olbermann and them have said, and that's why they're claiming that she's a Putin's puppet. Now, I also think there are additional sensitivities here for her because she is a veteran and she continues to serve in the military. And I think that she potentially takes these kind of insults, being called treasonous, really seriously, given that she, unlike a lot of the people who are throwing this accusation at her, has taken an oath to defend the country and has done so. I remember when this happened in the context of the Bernie campaign, Bernie issued a statement saying that it was wildly inappropriate to accuse a veteran like Tulsi of being treasonous, especially when you can't prove it's true. So while you or I might not decide to litigate over this, we might be able to take our slings and arrows on Twitter. I can appreciate why someone, especially maybe someone who's posturing for a certain kind of political office in the future, might be attempting to clear the record.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the emotion behind it. I understand that it doesn't feel good to be called a Putin puppet or a Russian asset or a traitor to the country. And I do think it's way more problematic for Mitt Romney to be making these claims rather than Keith Olbermann. And like I said, he's of no consequence. But Mitt Romney's a sitting senator. So, having a sitting senator call you a traitor or treasonous to the country is much more, he's much more high profile. He has a platform, obviously. But that, I mean, you should be allowed to point to, if I get elected to Congress, if you get elected to Congress, we both should be allowed to point to Nancy Pelosi and say, oh, she's, bought off, and say all kinds of things that maybe she doesn't like and maybe doesn't make her feel good. But we're allowed to do it. And so I think where it becomes much more of maybe something where she could litigate and send a cease and desist and it becomes a real problem is if I think there's more gray room when, for example, when Hillary Clinton said it, because she had much higher security clearance. So when she says something, maybe you could say she's in a position of power and knowledge that other people are not in. And because of that, when she makes a claim, people have a tendency to take her opinion above other people's because of the knowledge that she has the highest level of security clearance. So that might be a case I think you could make. But just getting, I mean, she's been called many, many names by many, many people. We can't go after all of them. But not only that, I do worry what it does on the flip side when you want to call somebody a name, that they're not happy with. Are we just going to go around and suing everybody or sending cease and desist letters to everybody? I get it. It's,
For the record, I would love it if Nancy Pelosi wanted to file legal charges against me for some very truthful thing I've said about her. Because look what just happened. I don't know if you've been following this case between Omarosa and Donald Trump. He sued her over statements that she made in her book that he said were untrue. She won the lawsuit and just won a significant chunk of money as a consequence. So to your point, Kim, like people are really, taking their bank accounts in their own hands when they decide to sue over these kinds of statements, because so often it's difficult to prove that they aren't in fact true.
Well, and not only that, you have to prove that harm. So they were trying to harm you, not just trying to hurt your feelings. But there's like a lot of layers,
right?
Because I think any of us in the public spotlight have thought about a time or two, maybe I should go after this person that just wrote something terrible about me. And I mean, I've had articles written that are that feel to me libelous or slanderous, right? But it's such a difficult thing to have to go through in court to prove it. But, a lot of times when they send these cease and desist, they're just meant to try to scare you, to try to get you to stop so that you don't want to go into a lawsuit because it's costly. Everybody loses in a lawsuit except for the lawyers.
Except for the lawyers.
They make all the money. Nobody else does. Everybody else loses. But, I get it. I feel for her. I don't agree with these smears against her at all. I think we have just devolved in American discourse, and that is a real shame. That culture needs to shift. I don't know if suing each other is the way to get out of that culture, but certainly the culture needs to change.
Yeah, most certainly. Well, our rising panel joins us right after this.